Tokyo, 1968. A city at the crossroads of history, where the past and future collided in a mesmerizing dance. A city pulsating with energy, its streets teeming with life and ambition. The hustle and bustle of daily life was a testament to the resilience and determination of its people. Recovering from the wounds of war, Japan was on the cusp of an economic miracle. The scars of the past were slowly being replaced by the promise of a brighter future. The Tokyo Olympics of 1964 had showcased a nation reborn. It was a moment of pride, a declaration to the world that Japan had risen from the ashes. Skyscrapers pierced the sky, a testament to Japan's burgeoning global power. These towering structures symbolized the nation's rapid modernization and economic prowess. Amidst this heady mix of progress and tradition, a crime unfolded that would capture the imagination of a nation. It was a stark reminder that even in times of prosperity, shadows lurked. It was a crime so audacious, so meticulously planned that it seemed ripped from the pages of a thriller. The sheer boldness of the act left the nation in shock. This was the story of the 300 million yen heist, the largest bank robbery in Japan's history, a crime that remains unsolved to this day. The mystery surrounding it only added to its allure. The year 1968 was a turbulent one worldwide, marked by protests and political assassinations. The world was in flux, and Japan was no exception. But in Japan, a sense of optimism prevailed. The nation was riding a wave of economic growth, and the future seemed bright. The economy was booming, and the future seemed bright. The streets were filled with the sounds of commerce and the sights of progress. Yet, beneath this veneer of prosperity, a current of unease lingered. The rapid changes brought with them a sense of uncertainty. The 300 million yen heist, with its brazen disregard for authority and its air of impenetrable mystery, tapped into this hidden anxiety. It was a crime that seemed to defy the very fabric of Japanese society. It was a stark reminder that even in the midst of progress, vulnerability lurked. The heist exposed the cracks in the facade of order and stability. The sheer audacity of the crime sent shockwaves through Japanese society. People were left questioning the security and integrity of their institutions. 300 million yen, an unimaginable sum at the time, equivalent to billions of yen today. The magnitude of the theft was staggering. It was a crime that seemed impossible, inconceivable in a society that prided itself on order and respect for the law. The meticulous planning and execution left authorities baffled. The fact that it remained unsolved, the perpetrators vanishing without a trace, only added to its mystique. The unanswered questions haunted the public consciousness. The 300 million yen heist wasn't just a crime, it was a cultural phenomenon. It captured the imagination of the nation and became a part of its cultural fabric. It spawned countless books, films, and television dramas, each offering its own interpretation of events. The heist became a source of endless fascination and speculation. Theories abounded, fingers were pointed, but the truth remained elusive. The mystery of the heist continued to captivate and confound. The heist became a part of Japanese folklore, a cautionary tale whispered from generation to generation. It served as a reminder of the fragility of order and the ever-present potential for chaos. December 10, 1968, dawned like any other winter day in Tokyo. A crisp chill hung in the air, and the streets bustled with the city's rhythm. Unbeknownst to the city's inhabitants, this seemingly ordinary day was about to witness an extraordinary event. An event that would etch itself into the annals of criminal history. The target, a branch of the Nihon Kokuno Bank in Fuchu, a quiet suburb of Tokyo. The prize, a staggering 294,307,500 yen, a fortune in cash, destined for a nearby factory's payroll. The bank employees, their morning routines undisturbed, prepared for another day of transactions and customer service. They had no reason to suspect that their day would take a dramatic turn, that they would become unwilling participants in a meticulously planned heist. The stage was set, the actors in place, and as the clock ticked toward the fateful hour, an air of anticipation, albeit unknown to those involved, hung heavy in the air. At the heart of the story lay a nondescript gray Nissan Cedric, an armored car tasked with transporting the day's payroll. Inside, 4 bank employees, unaware of the impending drama, sat with the weight of millions resting heavily upon them. The driver, a seasoned employee named Koji, navigated the familiar streets of Fuchu, his thoughts perhaps drifting towards the mundane concerns of the day. The journey was routine, the route well-traveled. Yet, somewhere along the way, an inconspicuous shadow began to follow. A figure on a motorcycle, clad in the uniform of a Tokyo police officer, was about to transform this ordinary day into an extraordinary tale of daring, deception, and mystery. As the armored car approached a quiet intersection, the city seemed to hold its breath. The streets were unusually calm, almost serene, a stark contrast to the tension building inside the vehicle. The motorcycle officer made his move. He had been waiting for this moment, timing his approach with precision. With an air of authority, he flagged down the vehicle. His gestures were confident, leaving no room for doubt or hesitation. The bank employees, accustomed to the occasional police check, felt no immediate alarm. They exchanged glances, assuming it was just another routine stop. Dressed in an impeccably tailored uniform, his face obscured by a visor, the officer approached the driver's side window. The uniform was spotless, every detail meticulously in place, adding to his air of legitimacy. His demeanor was calm, his tone commanding. He exuded a sense of control that put the bank employees at ease, even as it heightened their curiosity. He informed the driver that he had received an urgent message. The words were delivered with a gravity that made the situation feel dire. The bank's manager's residence, he declared, had been targeted by a bomb. The mention of a bomb sent a ripple of fear through the employees, their minds racing with the implications. The motorcycle officer's voice was firm, laced with a sense of urgency that brooked no argument. His eyes, visible beneath the visor, were intense, adding to the credibility of his story. He instructed the driver to check beneath the vehicle where, he claimed, a second explosive device had been planted. The driver hesitated for a moment, then nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. The bank employees, their faces etched with concern, followed the officer's instructions. They moved with a sense of urgency, their fear palpable. They were, after all, dealing with a matter of life and death, or so they believed. The thought of an explosive device nearby was enough to spur them into action without question. The driver, his heart pounding in his chest, stepped out of the armored car. Each step felt heavy, laden with the weight of the situation. He crouched down, his eyes scanning the undercarriage, searching for the alleged explosive. His hands trembled slightly as he moved, the fear of what he might find gnawing at him. The other employees, their faces pressed against the windows, watched anxiously. Their breaths were shallow, their eyes wide with fear and anticipation. The motorcycle officer, still astride his bike, maintained his vigil, his gaze fixed on the unfolding scene. He appeared to be the epitome of a dedicated officer, his focus unwavering. What the bank employees didn't know, what they couldn't have possibly imagined, was that this seemingly routine police check was a carefully orchestrated ruse. The officer's calm demeanor and authoritative presence were all part of an elaborate deception. The bomb threat, the urgent message, the concern etched on the officer's face. It was all a masterful act, a performance designed to instill fear and ensure compliance. Every detail had been planned to perfection, leaving nothing to chance. The motorcycle officer was not who he seemed. Beneath the uniform and the visor was a man with a very different agenda. He was in fact a cunning thief. And this was the opening act of the most audacious bank heist in Japan's history. The meticulous planning, the flawless execution. It was a testament to the thief's ingenuity and boldness. As the driver searched beneath the vehicle, the motorcycle officer's demeanor shifted. His eyes narrowed, and his posture became tense, signaling that something was terribly wrong. His voice, previously calm and authoritative, took on an urgent edge. The air seemed to thicken with tension as he raised his voice to a shout. "It's about to explode!" he shouted, pointing towards the rear of the armored car. His words cut through the noise of the bustling street, sending a wave of panic through the crowd. A plume of pink smoke billowed from beneath the vehicle, adding a terrifying element of realism to his words. The smoke twisted and curled, a visual representation of the chaos that was about to unfold. Panic seized the bank employees, their faces turned pale, and their movements became frantic as they tried to process the imminent danger. Trapped inside the armored car, with what they believed to be a bomb ticking away beneath them, they were at the mercy of the motorcycle officer. The confined space amplified their fear, making every second feel like an eternity. They did as they were told, scrambling out of the vehicle and retreating to a safe distance, their eyes fixed on the smoking undercarriage. The urgency in their movements mirrored the desperation they felt. The thief, his movements swift and precise, seized the opportunity. He moved with the confidence of someone who had planned every detail meticulously. With the bank employees incapacitated by fear, he darted towards the rear of the armored car. His actions were a stark contrast to the chaos around him. In a matter of seconds, he had unlocked the back doors, his agility belying the weight of the prize that lay within. The bags of cash were heavy, but his movements were light and efficient. The bank employees, their senses heightened by adrenaline and fear, watched in disbelief as the motorcycle officer, their supposed savior, began unloading canvas bags filled with cash from the back of the armored car. Their minds struggled to reconcile the officer's actions with the threat they had just faced. It was a scene of surreal efficiency. The thief moved with a purpose, each action calculated and deliberate. The thief worked with the practiced ease of someone who had rehearsed this moment countless times. His hands moved deftly, betraying no sign of hesitation. His movements were fluid, his actions betraying a deep familiarity with the layout of the armored car. It was clear he had studied every inch of the vehicle. The bank employees, still reeling from the shock of the bomb threat, struggled to comprehend the unfolding events. Their minds raced, trying to make sense of the betrayal they were witnessing. They had been deceived, manipulated by a master of disguise and deception. The realization hit them like a second wave of panic, colder and more insidious. The realization dawned on them slowly, like a cold dread creeping in from the edges of their panic. They had been robbed. The thief had played his role to perfection, leaving them stunned and empty-handed.